Welcome to Prophets of Babel with your host, Janine. This morning, I woke up thinking about Dina, the daughter of Jacob. A few months back, I was listening to AI-generated videos about Bible women as background noise while I was doing a project. And I found them interesting because the AI pulls information from all over the web, stuff that I don't normally read, things of ancient records. They put together ideas that I don't connect. And my brain was making connections this morning that I wanted to share. We have Dinah, who in the Bible it says is a beautiful girl. And she decides while her family is camping, I want to say in Canaan, somewhere near a city, that she decides to go in and explore the city with some friends. And she is seen by the prince or the son of the leader of the city. She's very beautiful. And he takes her. He takes her and he violates her. He took what he wanted. And that was that. But they realize that she's the daughter of this neighboring person, Jacob, who they decide they don't want to make angry and they need to make it right. So later, the leader of this city takes his son and they go see Jacob to negotiate for Dinah's hand in marriage. They're probably doing this so that they don't get slaughtered by Jacob. Now, because of the teachings of God to the children of Israel, the children of Israel are not supposed to marry outside of their religion, their beliefs. They're supposed to marry other children of Israel or chosen people of God. And because of this town has to do something to show that they are believers. And that thing that's listed in the Bible is to be circumcised. And so they agree to circumcise every man in that town. And we know from the Bible story that later on, I believe Levi and Simeon go in and slaughter all the men on the day that they were circumcised. Poor Dinah has been violated. And according to one of the videos I was listening to, said she was found with child. And she may feel like the death of hundreds of men are on her hands. And she has to be traumatized. So one of the beliefs is that Jacob, when this child is born, it is a girl. And that Jacob takes this child and takes it to the wall of Egypt. Now, I believe that Jacob doesn't want his grandchild killed. It's not the child's fault how it was conceived. But he doesn't want it around to remind him all the deaths that is associated with this child. Or maybe he doesn't want it around to remind Dinah of the pain. But he takes the child to the walls of Egypt. Now, the walls of Egypt must mean it goes to the orphanage. So later, who else goes to Egypt? Joseph does. Joseph goes to Egypt. And Joseph, once he rises through the ranks, is given a wife. Asenath. He's given the beautiful maiden Asenath, who is the daughter of the priest and priestess. Now, who runs the orphanages? Throughout history, it's the church that takes care of the orphans. What if Asenath is Dinah's child. And you can Google this. This just didn't come in my head today. I got some Googling in after I woke up. And a lot of scholars believe that Asenath was Dinah's daughter. And it's what blew my mind on this whole idea concept is that Joseph, in some records, Joseph's coat of many colors wasn't just a fancy coat his dad made him. That woven on and in the coat were the symbols of their religion. That maybe Joseph wasn't the only dreamer in his family. And maybe the prophet Jacob was told that Joseph would be going out on his own and he would need a reminder of who he was. And his father made him a coat of many colors with the symbols of their religion woven into it. And the Bible tells us that Joseph did end up with his coat once he went to Pharaoh. So if the kind, benevolent God, who is so merciful that he gives Joseph back his coat to remind him of his family, to remind him of where he's from, and the God that he believes in, would we not believe that God would also provide Joseph a wife of the covenant people? Of course God did, because God is God. And God provides for us to follow his commandments. He provides the ways, the abilities for this to happen. God is an awesome God. Whether any of this is true or not, whether Asenath is Dinah's daughter, doesn't matter. It opens our mind. It just makes me smile. God is in the details. God is always in the details. He was in the details of Dinah's life, even all the trauma she carried and all the pain. Our hardships are for us, or they're for others around us. We know that Joseph getting sent to Egypt and going through all that trauma and pain and separation of family and friends and loved ones was God's hand. Why wouldn't we think that God's hand was in Dinah's story? Can their stories help us believe God's hand is in our story? No matter what we're going through, no matter where we are, God's in our story. I love a God who knows the path, even though we can't see it. He knows the promises and covenants we made before we came down to this earth that we would fulfill and do. God's an awesome God. He takes our pain and our trauma and he uses it. I want to bring out that Job's wife's name was Dinah. Wouldn't Jacob make a marriage of covenant to a man similar to his own standing, a man who could provide Dinah the kind of lifestyle she was accustomed to, someone who could pamper his daughter, take care of her, help her get through her pain? I can just hear a loving husband telling his wounded, beautiful wife that God is in the details of our lives and that everything happens for a purpose. And she can own that and have faith in that as she moves through her life and choose happiness and joy in the moment, or she can curse God and die, right? Are those words familiar to you? Because those are the words Job's wife tells him when he's sitting in his ashes and he's lost 12 sons, 12 daughters. and all of his wealth? What if his wife, who was sitting in those ashes with him, who'd had the same loss, in his darkest moments, when he's really struggling with his faith, if she would use the same things he told her to help her get through her pain and tell him, you can have faith in the God's plan. You can have faith that God is in the details of your life and that everything happens for a reason, or you can curse God and die. And that's our challenge. When we are stuck in our pain, in our licking our wounds of life, there's those moments when we can look at that and where we are and what we're going through and say, God is in the details of our life. I choose to have faith in him, in his plan, and know that he loves me. Or I can curse him and die. It's really my choice. Can we have faith that God can pick up the broken pieces of our plan for our life, of our vision for our life, and remold them into something beautiful that will be written about and told in the storybooks of the heavens to help others grow and become closer to God, closer to who we're meant to be in the eternities? Can we choose to have that kind of faith? I encourage you to have the faith of Job and of Joseph and of Dina. And I leave this thought with you this morning. Thank you for joining me on Prophets of Babel, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.